questions will be coming from. Of course, for those of you who are watching the recording, thank you as well for watching it. But the real heroes are the ones joining right now, because without that, there will be no questions. So, guys, for those of you who are joining, please ask any questions you have in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them. So let's see then. So far, we have one person watching. So if you have any question, please type it in the chat, and I'll be happy to elaborate and explain. And more people will join shortly. It usually takes a couple seconds or a couple minutes for people to join. Joseph Jacob, ciao Jan, ciao Joseph, ciao Joseph. Yeah, so guys, for those of you new joining, I'm doing live Q&As. So if you have any questions regarding Czech immigration, visas, residence permits, all that, or starting a business in the Czech Republic, trade license, health insurance, accommodation in the Czech Republic, everything or anything you're interested about or in relation to these topics, please ask the questions in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them live. If no one asks any questions, then that will be a very short live stream. But hopefully some of you are typing, and I will have some questions in the chat soon, and I'll be happy to answer them. So guys, please, 6 of you here already. So type in your questions, and you'll get my answer right away. So Wafid Hassan, perfect. Yeah, Pravin Karel, I'm doing live Q&As. So if you have any questions related to Czech immigration, health insurance, business, accommodation, type it in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer live. And we already have one question. Walid Hassan, where we can apply for a trade license? Is it possible online? That's a good question, common question, and the answer is still not really. You cannot really do much online in the Czech Republic. You can do some things, but definitely not getting the trade license. You have to get the trade license through a trade license office. Good thing is that you don't have to go to the office where you live. So if you live in Prague 9, you don't have to go to the trade license office in Prague 9. You can go to any trade license office in Prague or actually in the Czech Republic. So you can go, or you have to go to some trade license office, but it can be any trade license office in the Czech Republic. Then some of the registrations, because when you get the trade license, you have to get registered with the Social Security and Income Tax Office, and sometimes also with the health insurance, depending on where you're from. And there are more questions coming. That's perfect. Thank you, guys. Keep it coming. So we have a lot to talk about. Yeah. So you need to get registered for those as well. And that some of those might be possible to do online through your data box. But the actual trade license application must be done in person. Pravin Karel, what's the success rate of family reunification visa? Well, I don't really like this question because there is nothing like success rate which would apply to all. The main thing is how well is the application prepared. Because, for example, if we deal with applications, we make sure that like 100% of the documents are prepared correctly and there are no problems with the documents. So in that case, your success chances, and especially for family reunification, are like 95%, 99% high. Because if we prepare everything correctly, you submit everything the ministry needs and in the form they need it, then there is no reason for them to deny it, especially the family reunification, because Czech Republic kind of respects family in terms of like spouse and kids, not really parents, but yeah. So in these cases, the chances are pretty high. On the other hand, of course, if you give them, for example, your marriage certificate and it's not apostilled or translated into Czech or something like that, then the chances of denial are pretty high. So it's not much about what kind of visa you're applying for, but how well is the application prepared. And let's see now the other questions. There are plenty of questions, so thank you very much, guys. This live stream already became interesting. So, Val, Good evening, Jan. My visa is still in process for extension. Is it wise to change employer at this time, or is it safer to wait for it to be approved first? Well, if I understand it correctly, you have an employee card and you've applied for extension of the employee card and you want to change the employer. Technically, it is possible. So you can do it if you have no other option, then do it. And it's possible, you can do that. But it's kind of tricky because the extension of the employee card will not be approved, officially should not be approved before they make the decision about your change of employer. But then if the change of employer is not approved for some reason, or if they meanwhile make the decision about the employee card, it could get you in trouble. So if you can wait with the change of employer until you get the new employee card, the extended one, definitely wait. If you've been waiting too long, meaning more than 60 days, or let's say 90 to give the ministry some space, then you can send them a letter, either like two types of letter, either a polite letter asking them like for the status of your application, which in some cases helps to get it approved faster, in some cases doesn't, because it has no legal value. Then if you want to add something like more serious, you can send a complaint against inactivity. And that helps every time because it's actually like a legal instrument to get the ministry moving, but sometimes it can piss them off. So you need to be careful with that. But if you send one of these letters, the application, the extension gets approved faster, then you can change your employer after the approval easily. Now you can do it as well, but it's a bit tricky. Ahmad Eid, sorry, I cannot see, I'm far away from the camera. Where are you from? The Czech Republic. I work in Czech immigration. I co-own and I co-founded a company called Move to Prague Relocation Services, Move to Prague Relocation Experts, and we deal with Czech immigration. So I'm Czech, based in the Czech Republic. Set Osei. Why is the ministry not giving student regime to students who's passed education in more than 3 years? Honestly, this is a question you should ask the Ministry of Education, not me. There are some reasons behind it, probably. Sometimes they are not, but I guess they are. My personal opinion is that then it's kind of weird. You know, usually you study bachelor's, then you decide to do master's, then you decide to do PhD or whatever, or another master's. And it kind of like follows. If you have some gap there, it might be already a bit suspicious. Maybe like you didn't want to study, but you heard somewhere that the student visa is an easy way to get a visa for the Czech Republic. So maybe they're trying to prevent this. Another thing is if you have like a gap, it's probably more likely that you will not finish the school because you've already tried working, you've already got some money. And now if you have to study full time and you cannot make money because of that, or you've also got kind of, you don't know how to study anymore. So it might be more difficult for you to finish the school and actually like pass all the exams and everything. So these are my opinions about that, but the real reasons, of course, I don't know. That's up to the ministry. Joseph Jacob. So guys, for those of you who've just joined, I'm doing live Q&As. So if you have any questions, type them in the chat and I will be happy to answer all of them. So Joseph Jacob, I just got my employee card approved using a DPC contract. I'm already a trade license holder, but I was wondering if my social security fee would be the same now holding the employee card. Thanks. I guess I would need to know a bit more about this. Like if you wanted, we could meet and like we could discuss in more details because there are a couple perspectives to that. But generally speaking, if you have employment and self-employment, the self-employment is always considered the secondary activity. Also depends on like how big is your DPC, the picture. Because generally to keep the employee card, you must have at least 15 hours a week and you must have at least the minimum salary. So if you meet this, then your employer must pay your social security, healthcare, all that. So the trade license should be considered secondary activity. On the other hand, all the money you earn through your trade license, you also have to tax unless it's below some like very low threshold, yearly threshold. So basically how it works with combination of employment and self-employment. And I actually made a video about that like just a week ago. So just go like a week back to my videos and find it there. But if you have combination of employment and self-employment, you have to pay taxes from the total amount combined. So they will see how much you earn, they will see how much you paid through your job, and then they will calculate how much you should pay from your self-employment. So yeah, but it would be best to speak to an accountant to give you the exact numbers, but hopefully this is good enough for you. So next question, Murat Y. I have approved employee card, but I didn't collect it yet. I don't want to work with my sponsor. Is it possible to change it because there is other offers? No, I definitely don't do that because if you haven't picked up the employee card, you cannot change an employer, and even if you pick up the employee card, you cannot change an employer for the first 6 months. If you try to change your employer now, most likely it will be denied, and actually basically almost 100% it will be denied if the reason why you want to change is just your whatever, that you want to get a better job offer or something, because the ministry can generally only change the conditions of the initial application, meaning your first employee card, if there is very serious reason, usually connected to your life or health or something like that. So in that case, they might consider it, but not because you don't like the first employer anymore. So not really. You should finish the process under the current employer, stay with them for 6 months, and then go wherever you want. But if you haven't picked up the employee card yet, don't do that. That's my advice. Walid Hassan, how many days, months we can stay away from EU in case we have permanent residency? Well, again, there are many exceptions as in everything, but generally speaking, if you're a non-EU citizen and not related to an EU citizen, meaning that you have the standard third country national permanent residence permit, then you can stay outside of the Czech Republic for up to 6 years within the EU. And if you move somewhere outside of the EU, then it's 1 year. And guys, for those of you who are still joining, we're doing live Q&As. So type in your questions to the chat and I will answer them shortly when I get there. So Nasir Jardim, sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of your names, guys. Hello, Jan. If I got employee card and have free access to the job market, can I do with part-time job, part with full-time job? Yes, you can have more employment. But I would still recommend keeping one full-time employment, because even with the free access to the labor market, you still need to fulfill the purpose of your stay, which is employment. So if you only had DPP contract for 10,000 crowns, technically that would be legal, but you could have a problem to extend the employee card. Another thing is that you anyway need to report all the changes, new employment, old employment termination, all that to the ministry. You don't have to ask their approval, but you have to report it anyway. So the ministry will know what kind of employment you have. So you can have more, you can have full-time employment plus part-time employment, but you should still keep one, let's say, full-time employment to be able to extend the employee card. So next question. MD Al-Amin Hossain. How to get appointments for employee card from the Czech Embassy, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Qatar? Do you provide any appointment services? Generally, this is pretty common question as well. We don't do appointments for people who are not our clients. So if you come to us saying, hey, I've just got a job offer from the Czech Republic, what we do is that we first speak with you and we check the documents and tell you, okay, hey, you're from this country, you're based here. It will probably take you 12 months to get an appointment because there are just not enough available appointments. And we explain everything, how it goes, how long you might wait, what it entails, that you will need to exchange the documents 2 times maybe because they have limited expiration, all that. And then if you say, hey, yes, that's fine, I'm aware of the risks, I want to do it, then we help you, and we also help you get the appointment. We try based on the directions of the embassy, because every embassy has a different scheduling system. So we help our clients to get an appointment. but we don't do it as a service because in many embassies there is limited amount of spots, and we want to keep these spots for people who go through us or go through the whole process with us, and not just someone who wants to do it themselves and they just need us to get them appointment. So yeah. Walid Hassan, without affecting the PR and later on the citizenship process. Well, those are two different things. The PR, as mentioned, you can spend up to 6 years in other EU countries and up to 1 year in non-EU countries to still maintain the PR. In real life, probably even longer because no one checks that. They could only check if you go to the ministry and they register, or like if someone told them that you've not been living here for a long time, they could see that, or if you let the card expire and you don't renew it or something like that. But generally they don't look for it themselves. So it's pretty safe to stay outside. But for the citizenship, that's a different story because you need to be physically living in the Czech Republic for at least half of the amount of time. So if you can apply for the citizenship after 10 years of living in the Czech Republic or 5 years of having the permanent residency. But if 3 years of that or 5 years of that or whatever you spent outside of the Czech Republic, that would probably definitely make your citizenship application weaker, because to get the citizenship, you need to be part of the society. You need to be like, I don't want to say mixed. What's the word? Like you need to be integrated into the society. And if you lived like 5 years in Spain, that didn't really get you integrated to the Czech society. So that could be potentially a problem for your citizenship application. Prabin Karel, hello sir, may I know what is the difference between visa type DV or DV? I don't see any difference there. Please, yeah, sorry, DP or DV. Okay, good. So Prabin, DV is dlouhodobé vízum, which means long-term visa. So that's just a sticker in your passport. DP means dlouhodobý pobyt, which means long-term residence permit, which is the residence card, like the plastic card with your fingerprints, photo, all that. So that's the difference. DV stands for a long-term visa, which is a sticker in your passport. DP stands for a long-term residence permit, which is a separate card. So that next question, Maziar Madadi. Sorry guys if I'm mispronouncing your name, sorry. My sister and I want to establish a business here. My sister is living in Middle East now. Can I get a visa for her to come here, establish company as employment? I'm not sure if I understand properly what you want to do. Do you want to move her here forever and as a business owner or as an employee? Because the thing is, she can set up a business. If you are two people, you would be probably setting up an SRO, like limited liability company, because you could get her a trade license, but that's only linked to her name. So you cannot be part of the business like on paper. So if you are establishing a company, like a limited liability company, SRO in Czech, then she doesn't have to be here for that. So she doesn't actually need a visa to come here. Of course, it's easier because she needs to sign plenty of documents, all that. So it's easier if she's here, but it can be done based on power of attorney. So that's fine. Then if you want to bring her here, like to live here, that's a completely different story, because there is a very big difference between self-employment or like a business visa and employee card or blue card or whatever, like employment type of business visa. So it would be, for me to answer this question properly, I would need to discuss with you what exactly it is you want for her, like to live here long term, or be employed, or be self-employed, or like be a business owner, or what's the long-term goal. Only then I could advise like what would be the best approach. But one thing I want to mention here now is that she cannot get an employee card in her own company. It means that if you are both the directors and the shareholders of a company, she cannot apply for an employee card to work in that company. So she would always need to go for the business visa. Only if she's not an official part of the company, so nor the director nor the shareholder, then she can apply for an employee card in that company. So next question. Seth Ose. Please, if you document for a student is 100%, what is the percentage of your bank statement out of the 100%? Okay, I guess you are asking what's the significance of the bank statement? Well, the significance is the same as any other document. If you get it right, that's good, and if you don't get it right, then it's not good and it's bad. So it's like if your bank letter is done correctly and you have enough money there the whole approval time, then it's just one of the documents. If there is a problem with that, then of course that can cause a problem. Most important for the student visa or student residence permit is your motivation to study in the Czech Republic. So if you can justify why you want to study in the Czech Republic and your documents are fine, you will most likely get the visa. If you cannot justify why you want to study in the Czech Republic, then even if all your documents are fine, you will probably get the visa denied. On the other hand, if you can justify, now whatever, so you get the point. But what is most important for the bank statement is that A, you have enough money, meaning that you have more than what is required by the law. And second thing is that you need to have the money there during the whole approval process. Because if the ministry requests a statement later on in the process and they see that you just got the money and immediately after getting the statement you send it back to someone, your mom, your friend, a bank or whatever, then they see it as you never had the money, you just borrowed it from someone and you actually don't have the money. So they would deny the application based on that. So hopefully this answers your question. Next one, Muhammad Sidi. It's been 138 days since I applied for the student visa and still no decision. What should I do? Yeah, I made a video about that. It's called, I always search for it when I go to my channel and I want to find this video because I've shot almost 400 videos now. So it's very difficult even for me to search for something. So I just go for the search and search for taking too long. And it will show you a couple of videos I made about this topic. Generally, you can write a letter to the ministry, not to the embassy. The embassy doesn't make any decision. So don't contact the embassy. They have no say in this. They only tell you what the ministry told them. But you can send a letter, one of two letters, either a polite letter or a complaint to the ministry to speed up the process. Abdul Mateen. Hello, Jan. I received a rejection and the reason was the bank statements because I had withdrawn the amount from the account and when they asked me for a new account statement. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about just a couple seconds ago. If I appeal, is there any hope that I will get a visa appeal or not? Well, I would probably recommend applying again, completely submitting a completely new application, then doing the renewal, doing the appeal, because the appeal will anyway can take many weeks, many months. And the chances that maybe I would do an appeal just to show that you don't agree with their findings and their reasoning, because that will give you a better base for the next application, saying that you don't agree with them, that you're trying to go around the system or something like that. But the chances are pretty low if you could try to justify that, hey, it's very, very dangerous in my country to keep the money on the bank account because we have plenty of like hackers or scammers or whatever. So I usually don't keep it in my bank account. I keep it, I don't know, somewhere else in my savings account or whatever. That's why I transferred that. But as you can see from my latest statement, I only transferred it to my other account, not to someone else or whatever. You could try to justify it like that. But the ministry can still deny your application because when they checked, you didn't have enough money. So you can try. Maybe it's good to do it just to show that you don't agree with the decision, but that it will change something that's not very likely, and it would probably be faster just to resubmit the application completely again. So Frederick Ismail Ouba. Something happened, sorry. So, hi, Mr. Jan. How are you? About the qualification of the PR for EU family member, change or still the 2 years? Is it possible to lose it when you're not an like divorce? Okay. Well, this is kind of tricky question because before the change of the law in 2021, there was just one definition of a family member of an EU citizen. It was spouses, kids, partners, whatever, and the rules were all the same for all the same like people. Now you can still apply for the PR after 2 years, but only if you're a close family member, meaning a spouse or a child. Or there are some very specific cases where it applies as well, like if you adopt a child or something, but generally like this. If you're a distant family member, meaning a partner that you're just dating, then you can apply only after 5 years. As for losing it, yes. Well, generally, once you get the PR, you're not gonna lose it if you break up with a partner. But for example, for married couples, losing maybe the temporary residency depends on the duration of the marriage. If you get married, you get the temporary, after that you get the PR in 2 years, and then you immediately get divorced, it might potentially cause some trouble. But generally, the PR is not cancelled when you are no longer a family member, but it depends on the concrete situation. Walid Hassan, so many of you. Thank you guys for the questions. It's amazing that you're here and that you're asking the questions. Maybe I'm a bit slow. I don't see how many of them are there already. But getting to all of you. Walid Hassan, where can we do university graduation certificate nostrification to CZ equivalent degree? University graduation certificate. Okay, so if you have a university degree and you want to get it nostrified in the Czech Republic, you do it with the university. If you have high school diploma, you want to get it nostrified in the Czech Republic, you do it with the municipality. So in Prague, that would be the municipality of Prague, Magistrát hlavního města Prahy. If you have university degree, you nostrify it at the university. So how the nostrification works is that you take your original diploma with apostille and superlegalization, translation, all that, and your transcript, meaning all the subjects you studied and like how many credits or how many hours you studied, and you find a similar program in the Czech Republic, so some university which offers a similar program, and then you send them your documents saying, please check if my education is the same as what I would study in your university. And if it is, or if it's close enough, they will give you the nostrification. If not, you can try another university with a similar program. So this is how it works. Now, Sotia. Decision letter was released to DHL on the Wednesday, 29 November. It was handed to me 30 of November. The letter says I have 15 days to appeal the decision. From what day the 15 days count? Are Saturdays and Sundays included? Yes. I'll start with the back. Yes, it's 15 days, 15 calendar days. So not 15 working days, it's just 15 days. So Saturdays, Sundays are included. As for when it counts, it depends when it was officially delivered. Because the ministry will get some confirmation from DHL when they delivered that, and it's officially from the date when they delivered that. So if the DHL, you should verify with DHL what is the actual day they state as delivered to you, and from that date. But to be safe, anyway, I would count it from the earlier date, so from 29th, just to be on the safe side. So next question. How many we have? We have still many, guys. Thank you very much for being here. Sani Kumar, Sir, you know about I submit application 8 months ago and still in progress. I don't have a chance to approval. Well, it depends. What is the holdup? What's the problem? My suggestions. Okay. Well, definitely. Well, okay. It depends. What might be the reason? So if you're like 100% sure everything was fine with your employer and with your like documents, all that, you can write a letter to the ministry saying, hey guys, you've been taking too long, more than the law requires, so please make the decision fast. That's so-called complaint against inactivity, and it's a very strong legal thing to do. So if you've been waiting for 8 months, I would recommend writing this letter. On the other hand, what happens is that the ministry is forced to make the decision. And if some of the documents are no longer valid, or there were some potential problems with your employer, with you, with some of the documents, they will want you to fix it like as soon as possible. They have to give you some deadline which is reasonable towards what they want you to do, but you need to count with some trouble coming your way. So if you're ready for that, just send them the letter and just deal with whatever comes afterwards. Walid Hassan, thanks a lot, Jan, for the session. Can I live with my permanent residency within another EU country, or we have a limited amount of time when we have to apply for a residence permit in that EU country? Well, this is not, there is no one answer fits all, because generally you can live, that also depends if you have the status of a long-term resident of the EU in your permanent residency. If you do, that's better and gives you more rights. So you could potentially live in other countries, but you should still follow the local rules. Because, for example, if you have, if you're in the opposite situation, so you live in Germany and you have a permanent residence permit in Germany, when you come to the Czech Republic, there is the rule that within 3 months, you have to apply for a residence permit, for a local residence permit based on your permanent residence permit in Germany. So Czech rules say that even with the German permanent residence permit, you still need to get a Czech one when you move here within 3 months. So different countries might have different rules. So it's the best to check with the local country where you're thinking of moving. So if you want to move to Spain, ask there, hey, I have this card. What should I do? Will you need anything from me? Because different rules of different regulations. I believe in Spain, you might just need to get some number like EORI, whatever, some kind of number, like a text number, and you might be fine. But in some other countries, you might need to get a local permit in 3 months. In some countries might be different. So it would be best to first figure out where you want to move and then find out the local rules. Joseph Jacob. I hit 5 years in Czech in September 2024. So when exactly can I give my PR application? I hear one has to be beyond, say, a few months and then apply. Tell me more. Okay, good question. I'm getting to all of you guys, hopefully. Yeah, officially, well, it depends, but generally I would recommend applying after you reach the deadline, and ideally with some amount of time extra. Because first thing is that you need to calculate it perfectly. And it might be somehow tricky in some cases. So you can go to the ministry and you can request a history of your residence. And they show you basically all your visas and all that. And you can calculate how long have you been here. But just for the sake of calculating the time, I would probably recommend you, if you got your first residence permit 1st of September, maybe apply 1st of October. Then another thing is that you could potentially apply even before, but then it depends on the decision maker. Some of the decision makers might deny your application immediately, saying, yeah, well, now you are not, at the moment of submitting the application, you're not meeting the requirements, so I'm denying your application. Some of them might say, okay, he's like 1 month away, so I'll just keep the case open and then I will make the approval, or I will proceed with the application once he reaches the time. Another thing is that it also depends on your current residence permit, because the permanent residence permit cannot be applied, like a couple of rules there. Cannot be applied if you're on a bridging visa. So if you're, for example, extending your employee card or student residence permit, whatever you have now, you cannot apply within the extension process. If you have a bridging visa, you cannot apply for a PR. One thing. Second thing is that the permanent residency, it looked like I froze. My brain froze, not the camera. Yeah, I just made myself laugh. That's fine. Anyway, so the PR application doesn't give you the right for a bridge visa. So let's say if you have an employee card and it's coming to an end and you only apply for a PR, not for extension of the employee card, then you might not, you will definitely not get a bridging visa, because the PR application doesn't allow you to do that. Plus, you might actually even get the PR denied because you have no valid residence permit during the processing. So there are a couple rules about that, and that's the main reason why people probably tell you to wait a bit longer, because it's better to be sure that you've passed the deadline, past the 5 years, and second, to make sure that you legally stay in here during the whole process. Plus, you cannot apply when you're in extension process, for example. Okay, next one, Petr Čech. I applied for employee card for 110 days ago from Morocco, but no decision is still being processed. Why? And there's the devil, devil smiley. Well, why? The reason is can be simple, can be many reasons actually. Go to my channel if you're not subscribed, do that, and search for taking too long, and you will get all the answers. But briefly, there might be many reasons. First, something might be bad or wrong with your application. So the ministry maybe is getting to the denial, and now they're preparing the letter or something, or they're just investigating something, like your employer, for example, or they have some doubts about you or your documents, and they might be checking just things more thoroughly. Another thing is that if you applied in Morocco, probably the first month nothing was really happening with your application, because the application must be physically sent from the embassy in Morocco where you applied to the Czech Republic, to the Ministry of the Interior, and only then they start the proceedings. So maybe out of the 110 days, the first 30 days, no one was actually checking anything. Or they might just be, they forgot about your application, or they just have more work with someone else, and your application is just laying somewhere on the shelf and no one's doing anything with that. Might be many reasons. Murat, why? Thanks, Jan. I don't want to work with my sponsor because they have postponed my arrival to Czechia twice, and I found another offer. It's not this acceptable reason to change it. Start days passed. Well, you can try, but as mentioned, you need to have a very serious reason, and it must have like a very significant impact to your life. Like, so if you say, hey, they're postponing it, and because of that, I already resigned in my job, and now I'm living in streets and I'm dying, and if you don't approve the employee card or the change of employer, let's say, then I will die here on the streets because I have no job or whatever. Maybe that might be a solid reason. But the ministry thinks about it in terms like that you applied with this employer, so why they should allow you to change the employer now in the process, and they really need some very serious reason. So if it's something like that, probably okay. But if it's just like inconvenient or something, probably not gonna work. You can still try. In the worst case, they will deny it, and you will submit a new application with a new employer. So if you don't want to be with the old one and you found a new one and they're willing to wait for you and they will not postpone it either, which there is no guarantee that they will not do that the same way, but you can also submit a new application. So you can try, change the employer, explain the situation, and if they don't agree to that, you will just submit a new application. So that would probably be my advice here. So next question. Fasuhanmi Tosin. Hello, sir. I want to know more about the new law on the student nomination process. And there is another from the same person. Also, I applied last year. I couldn't get a date, so I was told to reapply, which I did, but I was told no nomination position. Blah, blah, blah. I will get there. Okay, so I'll start with this first part. The new rules, I actually made a video about that, I believe, some time ago, like 2 weeks or something. Generally, they just changed some basic rules. Like, for example, you cannot be nominated to the program if your gap between studies is more than 3 years. You will need to pass some language requirements from the school. There was like one more change, which I don't remember now, but they changed this, and I made a video about those changes, I believe, some time ago. But those are the main things, that you might need to pass some exam, and you will not qualify for the program if your gap in between studies is at least 3 years, of more than 3 years. Bark and Wander. I have a question. A British citizen in relationship with Czech citizen living in the UK, moving to France together. Is there any visa the British person can get for Schengen access to France? They're also in civil partnership. Well, as a British citizen, you don't need any visa or anything to enter France for up to 90 days. So if you are still within it, and it's 90 days in the last 180. So in each 180 days, you can spend here 90 days. So you should have no trouble if you're still within the 90 days limit. You should have no trouble entering France because you can do that legally. So that's one thing. If you are past the 90 days, it might be a bit more problematic, but within the 90 days, there should be no problem. Then if you wanted to stay longer in France, you would need to check with the local authorities or local advisors. In the Czech Republic, you can get a special type of residence permit, either the partnership visa or the temporary residence permit for close family members of EU citizens. And that's like that only has benefits compared to other visa types. So you can actually, as a family member of an EU citizen, you can get a very good type of residence permit in the Czech Republic. I guess it would be the similar in France. But generally, as a British citizen, if you just want to enter for up to 90 days, you don't need any visa or anything like that. So Fasuhan Mitosen, I also applied last year. I was told my student nomination position remains. Does that mean that my chance of getting a date is this new session high? Well, I guess when they change the rules, you will still need to meet the rules, the qualifications, the requirements they have. But anyway, the problem with the student regime is that there is an infinite line of people, and there is some limited amount of spots at the embassy. So let's say embassy can accept 100 people a year. They just don't have capacity. There is one clerk working, and they cannot deal with more than 100 people a year, 100 students a year. Then, if there are like 500 people from the country who want to study in the Czech Republic, then you will need to wait 5 years to get your appointment date. Because there is 100 people a year, there are 500 people waiting. So you are in the line, but you might be like 2 years away, or 3 years away, 5 years away, or 2 months away. So you will, if you're part of the regime and you still meet the requirements of the regime, you will get your appointment date. You just never know when. That's how the regime works. Oliver Dietz, at which age do you retire in Czech Republic? Can a German get public health care, a German freelancer? I'll start from the back because I honestly don't know, or I'll start from the front. Okay, I honestly don't know when people retire in the Czech Republic. I don't plan on retiring. I would say it's different for men and women. Women retire when? I don't know, later. Anyway, it's different for men and women, I believe. And it's something around like 65, but I don't know, honestly, exactly. As for public healthcare, yes, you can get a public healthcare once definitely if you're a freelancer in the Czech Republic, you have to get registered into the public healthcare system, social security system, and income tax office. So you will definitely get a healthcare when you're a freelancer in the Czech Republic. If you're just a German freelancer who want to live in the Czech Republic, you can do it as well, but you would need to transfer your German insurance to the Czech one. And that might require some forms from the German insurance companies, but it's technically possible. So guys, let me see how many questions do we have. There's still many. So I will talk faster and I will reply in a faster manner. We've been online for 45 minutes, so I will need to finish this soon. Hi Jan, do you know how strictly the Dresden embassy enforces their policy of requiring purpose of stay documentation to set up an appointment to submit application for employee card? That's a good question. Generally, I would always recommend submitting it because honestly, it can happen that even if you don't attach it, they might still offer you an appointment, but officially they should not. They should stick to the rules that you only when you submit the proof of your purpose of stay, they will offer you an appointment. So if you don't want to risk anything, submit it. But they book appointments twice a month. So you have, if you miss it one time, you can submit like 2 weeks later. That's not much of a problem. Plus, you can always try. If they book on the 15th, you can try to send them an email on the 16th or 17th or 20th or whatever. And if they still have some available appointments, they might give you the appointment anyway. So only if they were booked for the period of 14 days, then they would not offer you anything and you would have to apply again next time. But yeah, I would definitely recommend applying when you have because it's also like if they give you an appointment in 2 weeks and by then you don't have the contract, then you're screwed anyway. So yeah, hopefully this answers. Benedict Ojo, what's the required amount of money for a student visa? At this point, equivalent to 120,000 crowns. It's a bit less, there is a calculation for that, but I say 120 because that's the safe amount. Joseph Jacob, what's the process to apply for PR with long-term permit in the EU? Basically, that's just an additional status. So you just need to mention it in your application, and that's it. You don't have to submit any extra documents or anything. You just mention it in your application form that you want this status as well, and they should give it to you. Frederick Ismail Ouba. Okay, thank you for your answer, Jan. Stay blessed. About 2 years for the qualification for the PR. Is it from day one? I enter in Czech from day one. I get the PP. You got your PP. Officially, it's from the moment when you get your first bridging visa. So when you submit the application and get a bridging visa. As I talked about it before, that the calculation for PR is a bit tricky. So if you want to be on the super safe side, apply after 2 years of getting the actual card. But officially, it should start from the moment when you submitted the application and got your first bridging visa. Mir, I just started to watch the live. I'm sorry that my question be repetitive. I have 2 questions. Okay. First, what's the minimum proof of funds to study masters for 2 years? And how long can you stay in the Czech Republic after studying masters? Okay, good questions. So again, the required amount for student visa or student residence permit is 120,000 crowns or equivalent in your currency. It doesn't matter if you want to stay for a year, 2, 5, whatever. The student visa, student residence permit is usually applied just approved for 1 year, because if you don't pass your exams, you don't go to the next year, they will not extend it. So even if the program is 2 years or 3 years for bachelor's, you anyway just get the visa for 1 year. So 120 for a year. And how long can you stay after finishing studies? After finishing accredited programs. So you need to make sure that your master's is accredited and you will actually get a Czech diploma. And if you get a Czech diploma, you can apply for a job seeker residence permit, which gives you 9 extra months of being able to stay in the Czech Republic, look for a job, or start your own business. And I did a video about that. So check my channel. If you're not subscribed yet, Mir, please do. And just search in the channel for job seeker residence permit or job seeker visa, and you can find out more there. Omar Designs, hello. As always, arrived late probably. No, you're in time now, but I will need to finish soon. It's been 50 minutes almost, and it's great, guys. I'm happy you're here and you're asking questions. It's great and it keeps the flow going. But I'm getting a pretty sore throat and I need to go to the gym still. Bank and Wonder, 12 to 24 months and to work. I don't know what was the question. Bank and Wonder. Let me see. What was the original question about that? Bank and Wonder. Question: British citizen. Yeah. Okay. And to work. Yeah. So if you're moving to France, you would need to check with local authorities in France, local immigration, or some advisor, like us, move to Prague. Because there might be different rules in different countries, or there are different rules in different countries. If you wanted to come to the Czech Republic, you would apply for the temporary residence permit for family members of EU citizens, which is the best type of residence permit you can get. So that would be definitely the option number 1. If you wanted to just work here and not be dependent on your partner or spouse, you could apply for an employee card or for a blue card. But the temporary residence permit for family members of EU citizens is definitely best. Omar Designs, the link is what you should know about student mode. Yeah, thank you. You're probably commenting about the previous videos. So thank you. So there are still more questions, guys. Okay, so I'll try to catch up, answer fast, and get to the end of the question soon. So I appreciate your efforts you made for answering all questions they gave. Guys, do not hesitate to apply, make self-dream true. It is that simple. Go for it. All the best, guys. Kanila. Thank you. Thank you for the motivation. Guys, yes, it's definitely doable. Of course, depending on the country of your origin and the purpose of your stay and the season and everything, it might be differently complicated or differently easy, but we've worked with people from more than 100 countries in the world, 100 nationalities. So there is a chance for everyone. Omar Design 24 watching and for likes only, like so far YouTube algorithm helps his channel grow. Yeah, well, now that's fine. Like it's been constantly around 20 people, 50 minutes going, so that's good. And I'm here to help, give answers, have a content, so I'm fine with that. Saurov Barua, hi, I'm third semester master student in Brno Masaryk University. I will be graduating in June 2024. I'm working in a bank as a full-timer. When should I apply for an employee card? I would definitely recommend you to go through the standard process. So finish your studies, get the job seeker residence permit, and then switch to an employee card. Whatever you do before that will be always risky, because if you have free access to the labor market, so you can work. But if you, for example, don't pass your exams and you don't get the diploma, actually, you lose that. And if you already applied for an employee card based on your free access to the labor market, you're completely screwed. So I would recommend doing the standard way, that you go through, you finish your studies, you apply for job seeker residence permit, then you apply for an employee card. If you wanted to apply for an employee card now, you could do that, but I would stick to the standard rules so that the company advertises the position and you apply for a standard employee card, not at all attached to your studies. Ervan Dobogan, hi Jan, say I'm from third country in Czech, a student, but get to partnership visa with a Latvian. There is no such in Latvia. Can I do that? And how with that can I live after Latvia when study is done? Well, you can definitely do that if your partner lives in the Czech Republic. If she's or he is Latvian and live here with you, then you can definitely apply for a partnership visa here. But they need to live here with you. If they live in Latvia, then you cannot apply for a residence permit based on that in the Czech Republic. As for moving to Latvia afterwards, that you would need to check with the local authorities what options would be available to you. Generally speaking, you lose your Czech residence permit as soon as your Latvian spouse or partner moves to Latvia and the registers here. So would be probably definitely best to discuss with the local Latvian authorities. Joseph Jacob, thanks a ton, Jan. Be well and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Joseph. All the best to you, and hopefully see you on my next live stream. Viraj Sony, I have applied for extension. MOI current visa is to expire in February. Is there any chance they approve it before February? I've heard that they can approve it before expire of existing visa. They can approve it, but you will not get the new card before the expiration of the old card. But given that you wait 2 months just to get your biometric appointment, even if they applied it now, that would be probably the correct timing. The Storytime Library. If you leave Czech Republic, do you have to inform MOI? If yes, what might happen if you don't inform MOI? Well, it depends. As I say often, it depends on what kind of residence permit you have and what's your long-term plan. Generally, yes. If you leave the Czech Republic, you should return your card because that's a property of the Czech Republic. And if you don't return it and you lose it and someone steals your identity, abuses the card, that would be a problem. So officially, yes, you have to return your card or residence permit, whatever you have, to the Czech Republic, to the Ministry of the Interior, because it's the property of the Czech Republic. But then, of course, it depends. If you, for example, know that you're moving just for 2 months and then you will be coming back, probably makes no sense to return it and then apply completely again. So probably you could just keep it. But it also depends on what's your purpose of stay. You know, if your purpose of stay is employment and you leave the job, so you want to travel somewhere for 3 months, you only have 60 days to find a new one. So if you leave for 3 months, you come back, your employee card will be probably canceled already, or like you will at least not renew it or anything. If you, on the other hand, have, for example, the business visa, you move somewhere else, you live there for 3 months, you're still making enough money through your business, and then you come back, no one will even know that you were away. So, and with the permanent residence, as I mentioned before, you can live in other EU countries for up to 6 years, in non-EU countries for up to 1 year. So there is no problem to leave for that period of time. So it depends on your exact situation. My wife has PR and I have reunification card. I consider coming back after a few years in Germany. So I would recommend getting the PR as well, because then you could stay in Germany for up to 6 years and you would be completely safe. So I would do it this way if it's possible, if you can get the PR soon. If not, then I would probably do it the way that you first get the residence permit in Germany, so you're sure that you have something somewhere at least, and then cancel the Czech one. And if you want to move here again, do that. But then the question is how the ministry will look at it. If you say that, hey, my wife is here, I lived here with her 2 years, and then I moved to Germany for 6 years, and now I'm coming back because I want to live with her again. It's kind of weird because you were 6 years separated and now you want to move here. So the question is if they would approve the family reunification again or not. So that depends. I would probably recommend discussing it with us in details and see what would work best. But yeah, generally, if you can get the PR, I would definitely recommend getting it before you leave, so you can stay in other EU countries for up to 6 years. If you move to Germany together, come back together, okay, of course, that is safer, because at least there will be no questioning of your relationship. But then she needs to stick to the rules that she doesn't stay in Germany for longer than 6 years. Otherwise, her PR could be terminated. Omar Design, you had your throat tortured during this live. Appreciate all your efforts, man. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, tortured, but it served a good purpose. So I'm happy to do that, but I will need to drink something before I go exercise. Murat Y, thank you very much, Jan. I'll come to ask for professional support in Prague. We'll be happy to help. You're great, Jan. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Storytime Library, for coming, asking questions, because that made this live stream go for 1 hour. I planned for like 10 minutes because I wanted to be already exercising this time, but I'm really happy that so many of you joined and so many of you asked questions and stayed until the end. So thank you very much, guys, for coming, and see you again Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. Bye-bye, and bye, Saurav Barua. Thank you very much for joining. See you again next time, guys. Good night. Someone, you're the best. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy I stayed for that. Omar Designs says, see you Thursday. Bye. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. You should open a branch in Brno. Okay, so we actually wanted to do that, but we didn't do that in 2020. We didn't do that. So we might still do that, but we still have some clients in Brno anyway. So because the immigration doesn't really depend on the city, what we cannot do is to go with you to the ministry to submit the application in person if needed, but we can still make sure that you have all the documents. We can book the appointment. We can prepare you for any interviews or anything. So we've had clients from Brno. Maybe we will open a branch there at some point as well. So now I'm really going. See you guys next time.